Make sure we're good. Make sure we're good. All right, that's coming in pretty good. I'm gonna just check my other account. Just bear with me. Just check my other account. Just bear with me. Yeah, I like that. All right. Okay, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I like to start off by giving all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh-Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, beginning with the 144,000, and the rest of the men, women, and children out of the 12 tribes, Salakia, of whom Yahweh Basham Shah will have mercy upon. I'm your brother Mata Zabath, residing from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And I wanted to do a quick lesson entitled The Blue Letter Bible. Biblical scholar John Brown commentates on Revelation 13 to 16 pertaining to the microchip or the MIRCO-C.H.I.P. All right. Now, I don't know if one of the elders in time past have actually looked this up, but I thought that, you know what, since I'm in the spirit and since the prophecies are jumping off the page and we know that Revelation, the 13th chapter, right around verses 16 on down, is one of the major last prophecies set to come. I thought that this would be a good tool to share amongst the brotherhood. Now, my question is, when we go through this, you other Israelite camps, if you so happen to come across this lesson and you're teaching outside of the true understanding of Revelation 13 to 16 through 18 about the mark of the beast being the RFID MIRCO-C.H.I.P, what are you going to do to your congregation? Because majority of you camps out there, you actually go against the 100% sound doctrine. And so with that being said, if you are in a blue letter and you come to Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16, and you go to tools and you click on commentaries, we're going to drop down and we're going to come down to where it says John Brown. All right. And we're going to click on the second Revelation 13 verses 1 through 18. All right. Now, when you come down here, all right, and we start around, because it gives you the introduction. All right. But when you start around here where it says text, it actually goes into the creator, all right, of this implantable device known as Dr. Carl Sanders, which we're going to get into. All right. And then it's going to give you some background information on how what is written in Revelation 13 and 16 lines up with the technology, all right, that we see here today. And this is in the blue letter. All right. So let's quickly go through this. All right. And I'm trying to make this quick. I don't want this to be a big, long drawn out lesson, but we're going to start here. And this is the biblical scholar, John Brown. And this is what he states. All right. It says, I don't think that it was coincidence that when I came into the office this week, there was a tape on my desk from Firefighters for Christ by a Dr. Carl Sanders. It says Dr. Sanders hold a PhD in electronics and engineering and was the chief engineer responsible for the design and development of a microchip that is so small it can be injected under the skin with a hypodermic needle. It says this chip was originally developed for the purpose of repairing severed spinal cords so that people would be able to walk again. And there were over 100 people involved in this project, of which Dr. Sanders was senior engineer in charge. It says It is important to understand that the people involved in the creation of this chip had no idea that it would become all that it has. And they all believed they were doing it for the very humanitarian reasons. Now it says the investors in this project determined that spinal repairs alone were not sufficient to give a proper return on their investment. So they began to look at other possibilities, right? And they found that because of the electrical impulse produced by the chip, that it altered certain behaviors. Now, isn't this, ironic that when you read this in a blue letter, because see, like I said, I don't know if and the brothers Shalom Yahabashim al Shabarakatah, you can correct me if I'm going off, but I don't know if one of the elders have already, spoke on this a while back. All right. But I thought that it would be, a good idea to do this lesson to show many of the Akim that one of your top biblical scholars and John Brown actually put this in his commentator dealing with the introduction and the history behind what he feels to believe that John, or not John, but Revelation 13 and 16 is actually speaking about this device, all right, that we call the MIRCO-C.H.I.P. Now, let me read this part again. It says, they found that because of the electrical impulse produced by the chip, that it alters certain behaviors. It says, for instance, when placed in a pituitary gland of a female, it would put her immediately into menopause, and the ability to conceive was immediately halted. This had already been tested in India. And they also found that certain frequencies would produce increased amounts of adrenaline. And this was called the Rambo chip, and it has been tested with Vietnam veterans. All right. So this technology, it seems as though it has been around for a very, very, very long time, man. All right. So going on, it says, as they begin to research other marketing possibilities, they've discovered that one of the major problems was making people aware of their product and then getting them to accept it. All right. So it says, Dr. Sanders was at the meeting where they decided to put the pictures of lost children on paper bags and milk cartons in an effort to make people aware that there was a need for keeping track of locating missing children, as well as Alzheimer's patients. These meetings were held in Luxembourg and London and Brussels and many right in San Francisco. And the identification and control of people were discussed as if they were cattle. All right. Because that's how Esau views us. Right. And the water brother GMS Speak Salvation 144 said a chip sign we usually have is a chip that came out in the 80s. Okay. The water for that information. Brother said they've been doing experimentation since way beforehand. And that's right. I believe that. That's right, bro. So now dig this right here. It says Kissinger, which is speaking about Henry Kissinger, which I just did a lesson on that, which I have to upload. It says, and representatives of the CIA were present in these meetings. Now, why is Henry Kissinger a factor in this? Because let me do this here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'm going to show you why Henry Kissinger is a factor in all of this. This is on the peoplesvoice.tv, which I just did a lesson not too long ago on this. I just got to upload it. And here it is right here. This is why Henry Kissinger, mind you, he passed away last year at the age of 100. But it says Kissinger's final threat exposes globalist dystopian endgame, bioengineer to coexist with AI or die. All right. You see it right there. And this article came out a few days ago. All right. So now you understand why that, Kissinger plays an important part in this, because he wrote a book, and in his book, he pretty much speaks about a dystopian society and how humans have to become superhumans by merging them with AI technology. And we know how that's going to end up, okay, via way of the MIRCO-C.H.I.P, okay, which our beloved apostles and elders on down have been telling us. So going on, now watch this. Now we drop down to B. It says Revelation 13 and 16, he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave or bond, to receive a mark or a charagma on their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, this is in the New King James Version. Now, here they're going to break it down and show you. It says Strong's G 5480 charagma equals a thing carved, sculpture, graven work. Strong's G 5482 charax, which is the etymology of charagma, means to sharpen to a point through the idea of scratching, which ultimately this goes into a hypodermic needle, which is the tool that they will use to be able to insert, all right, the MIRCO-C.H.I.P. Okay, that's what you have to understand. Now it goes on to say, this sounds a lot like a hypodermic needle, which is what I just said, piercing the skin. This is a top biblical scholar telling you this. This is in the Blue Letter Bible. It says, if you remember, last week we pointed out that the number 666 had a name, and that name was Chi-Psi stigma. Now it says Strong's G 4742 stigma from stidzo, which means to stick or prick, equals a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. So right there, that cancels out the idea that Revelation 13 verses 16 to 18, which you'll have certain Israelites say that it's spiritual. Well, no, based off this definition here, it will mean that it's a physical mark that you will physically need to take in order to make transactions within society. That's why it tells you specifically in verse 17 that no man might be able to buy or sell save he that had the charagma. Okay. Now it says one of Webster's dictionary definitions calls stigma a small spot, scar, or opening on a plant or animal. It says in the readout of this MIRCO-C.H.I.P, there were 9 levels of information that the designers wanted included. All right. Designers meaning the elites. When you go deeper into it, it says they were your name and an image or picture of your face. They showed you this in movies like Minority Report, and also what's that TV show on Netflix, Black Mirror. It says they also wanted social security numbers with the extra international digits. All right. It says a fingerprint identification was also to be included. Your physical description, family history, address, criminal record, occupation, income tax information. It says Strong's G 5481, character and an impression, the exact expression, the image of any personal thing, marked likeness, precise reproduction in every respect, facsimile. This MIRCO-C.H.I.P has exactly that, an express image of its recipient. Recently, under the new healthcare program, they are talking about the womb to tomb positive identification. There are bills before Congress right now and others that have been passed that will allow a MIRCO-C.H.I.P of identification to be injected into your child at the time of birth. It says the president was given this authority and control under the Immigration Control Act, Section 100 in 1986. And I also believe that former President Barack Obama also has something to do with that as well. Now we go to letter C. It says Revelation 16:2. So the first went and poured out his bowl upon the earth, speaking of the angel, and a foul and loathsome sword came upon the men who had the mark of the beast and those who worship his image. All right. Now, when you read this in the King James Version, it speaks about a grievous sword, all right, which the apostles have given us the breakdown many a times, which goes into a cancerous pus. That's how you know that it's a physical taking, because anybody that takes that C.H.I.P, that's your ass, pertaining to Revelation, the 14th chapter, verses 9 through 10, and also Revelation, the 16th chapter, which is what we're about to go into right now. Now it goes on to say here, number one, this MIRCO-C.H.I.P is powered by a tiny lithium battery, which has a recharging circuit built in. It says also, number two, this charging system operates and is regulated by the changes in body temperatures. Dr. Sanders says that they spent $1.5 million on research to determine an optimal primary and a secondary place in the body for this chip. The data that returned said that there were two placed in the human body that the temperature changes most rapidly. They were, number one, the forehead, just below the hairline, and number two, the back of the hand. Dr. Sanders talked to a doctor at Boston Medical Center and asked what would happen with that concentration of lithium if the chip should fail. Now, just a little side note, how many of you brothers remember that storm that was about a month ago? And I forget the destination, but after the debris of everything, they said that that place had a high lithium. All right. Remember that. Okay. So it says the doctor told him that you would get a grievous sore. Note that in Revelation 16:2, it says sore, not sores in the plural. They were not all over the body, but in one location. Is it possible that when the Lord sends this angel out, that all the lithium batteries will fail at that same time? It says Dr. Sanders pointed out that there were some breakdowns of the Rambo chip, and they indeed did cause a boil-like grievous sore, right? Because I remember the beloved, yeah, you see, you got to go. You got to go. All right. We're not dealing with that nonsense. All right. And North Carolina, the water brother. All right. GMS Speed Salvation 144. Okay. So it was North Carolina, the water for the fact check. So here you have a situation where when they did the testing back then for it was called the Rambo chip, Dr. Sanders pointed out that it did cause a boil-like grievous sore. Now, what you got to understand is, I believe it was Elder Apostle Ramblab who actually did a lesson on this ages ago. And he actually went into this breakdown and he showed looking up different sores and boils. All right. Which shall ultimately make you even fear Yahweh Shem Yahushua even more when you take that C-H-I-P, man. Okay. It says these chips are not secret. It says their diagram description has been published in newspapers, and the clinical insertion of the chip has been demonstrated on TV. The Montessori preschools in Florida have been used as test projects with the insertion of these chips in the children for purposes of identification. And we can, look that up to see if that's any truth to that. More than likely it is, but they probably already covered it up. It says there is an outfit called InfoPet that claims they can keep track of 1 billion pets to within 10 feet of their current location. Damn. It says if you can know the location and vital statistics of 1 billion pets at any given time, you can know the location and statistics of 1 billion people. And that's absolutely correct. And that's why, all right, Esau wants to sit in the seat of power, all right, showing himself that he is a power, all right, pursuant to 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. Okay. He wants to be just like the Most High, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Right. So it says, and that is just one group or organization. And as an aside, the FCC has approved two-way communications through your television. It will not only be possible to watch, but to be watched. So, when you talk about those smart TVs, man, all right, you ever be having a conversation, all right, with your partner, children, whatever. Next thing you know, those apps come up with different ads and stuff, and then they come up with things that you might have been talking about. Yeah, because your TV is actually spying on you, man. It says there is current technology to pick up conversations in your home through the crystal mouthpiece on your telephone, even when it is unplugged. Laser devices can use your windows as a diaphragm, which acts like a big microphone, enabling the listener to hear every conversation in your house. All right. So pretty much, there you go. But I kind of just wanted to get into that. Let me see here. Yeah. So pretty much this is John Brown, one of your top biblical scholars that actually commentates going into the MIRCO-C here, which we told you starting with the beloved apostles and elders on down, that Revelation 13 and 16 indeed is talking about the RFID MIRCO-C-HIP. Now, to back this up even further, we're going to come over here and I'm going to let you hear the testimony from the creator of this device himself, which is an old video, and I was able to find it. All right. And it's under the YouTube handle Corto Arnold. For any of you brothers want to look this up, and you can land back and do a video on it. But I'm going to let this play. All right. This is fair use, fair use. All right. Let's do this. All right.
I praise God for the opportunity to be with you tonight. God has given me a message to share across this land. And I'm not important, but that message is important. Yep. I ask you to open your ears tonight. What I'm here to share with you is a testimony of where I lived, the people I spent my time with. I was an engineer for 32 years, and that's not important. But what is important is what I have to share with you. There is a message for the day that we're in. God's word tells us what it'll be like in the last days, not some other book, only the Bible. In 1966, I was put on a project. I had been with IBM and now I was with General Electric. The project was to develop a little microcircuit that would connect the nerve ends on a broken spine back together. And some men came to us that we were to find out were from the government. They were from the CIA and the FBI. And they asked us to develop a little microchip for identification. This was to be used not in human beings, not in animals, but to be put in drug shipments to catch drug dealers. They came with a lot of money, and so we were willing to do whatever we could. I want to tell you at this point that I was not a Christian, and I did not want anything to do with Christians. But I had married a young lady who was a Christian. The problem was I had a mother-in-law, and she prayed for me. We had developed the first identification device, and it was completed in the early 70s. They came back to us and they said, we want something better than that. And so we said, if you have enough money, we can develop anything. I was not alone there. There were 100 people involved in the project. My responsibility was project leader or the senior project engineer. We began to work on the design of a microchip. When it was completed, was 0.75 millimeters in diameter, 7 millimeters long. It was the size of 1/4 of a grain of rice. Again, I want to say that I was not a Christian and there were no Christians there. And they told us they wanted us to use lithium as a battery source. Lithium's used in watch batteries. It's used in heart pacemaker batteries. It's used in a lot of places. I designed into this microchip a little charging circuit that would charge that battery. When we discovered that we needed to be able to charge that battery, I needed a temperature change, a change in temperature to cause current to flow through that little charging circuit that we began to investigate and find out where in the body does the temperature change the most rapidly. We spent over $1 million in taxpayer money. We divided it up amongst 3 teams and then came back together with that information. It was determined that there were 2 places in the body that were ideal for the microchip. One was just below the hairline on the forehead. Every mother checks their child's temperature right here. The other place was the hand, the right hand preferred, because most people are right-handed. And so the design work, everything was completed. The microchip was done. You are seeing it now on some of the Discovery Channel presentations. There are people who have received it already. It is real. It's not something that's coming way down the road. We have never stopped sharing this message. We've been in large churches and small churches. We've been on TBN on several occasions. We've been on other.
And now I just want to interject right there, because notice he said they've been in churches, they've been trying to push, but really, see, Esau has done a great job suppressing information. But see, now we're in that time where the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua are faithful and true, man. Okay. And now, as Klaus Schwab's Dominion, Yuval Harari, he said, never let a good crisis go to waste. So now the technology has been here, but they have, what's the word I'm looking for? They have pretty much gone over and beyond to really affect it, so much so to the point to where now whatever wag the dog tell of event, all right, that's going to play out and happen for them to mandate it. They're just waiting for the right crisis so that the economy can crash. And then guess what? Boom. Here comes Esau trying to save the day with this brilliant idea to be C.H.I.P, because it's coming. All right. But nevertheless,
television programs speaking to large groups of people. What I want to tell you is that this is real. The microchip implant is real. And I tell you, as a Christian, you cannot take this. No matter what anybody says, God's word says you cannot take it. People ask me if 666 is in the microchip. When it was my responsibility to design this microchip, I had been working on a computer that was 18 bits. The word was 18 bits in length. And so this microchip came out to be an 18-bit. There are 3 6-bit bytes. This whole microchip is 666. Many people want to know what a microchip looks like. It's one that has been magnified 4,000 times. I met with a man from the CIA in Manassas, Virginia, and he warned me about some of the things that I was saying. But he also told me, you can't stop this thing. And I told him, I'm not trying to stop it. I'm trying to warn God's people. And so our reason for being here is not to cause you to form a group to go against the government. Our reason for being here is to inform you so you will be stronger in Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Only issue with that is so-called Jesus the Christ ain't going to save you, all right? It's through Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, started with the elect of the nation of Israel. But let's get some of these comments. This is from the beloved brother GMS Tazadak Daban Yahweh Hawada Salakia 144K, which said Isaiah 46:8, remember this and show yourselves men and bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors. Verse 9, remember the former things of old, for I am Yahweh, and there is none else. I am the most high power, and there is none like me. Declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Right? Isaiah 34:16, it says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord Yahweh and read. No one of these shall fail, meaning the prophecies that are written therein. None shall want her mate. In other words, you cannot take this book and align it with any other book. All right. Because no other book will come up against or can come up against the scriptures. For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered, man. All right. And that's why, we, as I stated before earlier on in the lesson, that the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua are faithful and true. So I just got a few precepts I just want to bring out here, and I'm going to close out because I didn't want this to be too long. All right. But this is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And thus the servants, the prophets, beginning with the apostles and elders on now, where we are standing upon our watch. That's why we go into many different news. We see what's going on throughout the four corners of the earth. All right. As the scripture says in 2 Ezra, the 9th chapter, we are to measure the time diligently within itself. All right. So this is the job of a prophet. We are to watch what's going on and we are to report. There's a scripture that talks about that we are to know the state of our flock. Okay. You're supposed to know the state of the flock, man. You're supposed to keep up with everything. Right. It says, verse 2, and the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. Okay. That he may run that readeth it. Now, we always bring this out. When you go into that word run, okay.
Strong's H 7323. Roots.
And you go down to Strong's definition, it says to run for whatever reason, especially to rush, to break down. And that's what we do. We're breaking down the scriptures. We're divide. It says divide speedily. Scriptures talk about in 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved, a workman that needed not to, be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So you're supposed to be able to break these scriptures down, man. Okay. And how do you get the breakdowns? Through going back to the apostles, the bishops, and elders on down, mainly from the men of the great millstone. Okay. So that's what it means when we go, we run that reading it, meaning we go and we break these scriptures down. Okay. And that's what we're doing through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Let me read that again. Habakkuk 2:2. And the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. All right. Revelation 1:3. Blessed is the man who readeth. Right. It says verse 3, which is the main point. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And the prophets have been here telling you what's about to go down. Okay. These videos, these lessons that we do are like epistles, man. This ain't nothing to play around with, man. This is serious business right here. Okay. So I'm going to leave out. We're going to close out with this precept here, Ezekiel 33:33. It says, and when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet had been among them. So you want to sit around and say, well, you ain't the true man of the Lord, this, that, and the third, but wait and see. Just like when we brought out in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, though it tarry, though it may seem like it's taking its time, it's going to come. And then when it does come, you're going to know that a prophet had been amongst you, man. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying. And I just wanted to come up on here and show you, Akim, that the Blue Letter Bible, biblical scholar John Brown commentates on Revelation 13 and 16. All right. And speaks about the MIRCO-C.H.I.P. It is in the Blue Letter. So all you other camps out there, IUIC, ISUPK, Watchmen for Israel, you have a lot of blood on your hands, man. Okay. You have a lot of blood on your hands. And what are you going to do? Okay. When this gets mandated and it comes to pass, you're going to have to face your own congregation and you're going to have to tell the truth. You're going to have to tell the truth. So, hey, once again, all right, you brothers, be very careful, you newcomers, on who you're watching, man, because you're in a time right now where you should know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. All right. So with that, it's on to the next. Shalom.